So what exactly is sexting? Is it just harmless flirting, or could it be deadly to your reputation? Could it actually get you arrested? And who's sexting? Teens, adults, senior citizens? Well, we're going to have the answers to those questions and more when It's Your Call examines the dangers of sexting. And it all begins right now. Well, you know, we've all heard the news stories about famous athletes like Brett Favre getting in a bit of hot water for sending naughty pictures on their cell phones. You remember Tiger's trouble started when sexy text messages from other women were discovered by his wife. And of course, the internet is filled with sexual photos that were never intended for public view. So why are so many people engaging in this kind of activity? Beats the heck out of me. Hello everyone, it's good to have you with us. I'm Lynn Doyle. Today we are taking a closer look at a trend that is apparently very popular, especially among young people. It's called sexting, and it's when you use your cell phone or another personal device to send sexy pictures or messages to someone else. Smart? Not so much, but here's the scary part. Doing it may get you the label of sex offender. We're going to tell you about that later on. First, though, some facts that I want you to know. Studies are indicating that anywhere from 20 to 60% of all teens admit to some form of sexting. Now, it may start as a way to flirt or to get attention, but experts say that attention can turn embarrassing. It could even be lethal, because you have no way of knowing where that content may end up. In fact, in some states, sending sexual images could even land you under arrest or have you labeled as a sex offender. Myself, I don't think any good can come of this kind of behavior, but your children or your grandchildren are probably doing it. That's why we've invited our guest here today to tell us just how dangerous engaging in this kind of activity can be, what the consequences are both legally and socially, and what you need to do to educate those kids and grandkids. Let me introduce our panel. I'm very impressed with all of them. Richard Hark is an attorney who specializes in federal and state criminal defense. Dr. Kenneth McGuire is a clinical psychologist, a certified sexuality therapist, and the director of the Institute for Sex Therapy at Council for Relationships in Philadelphia. And New Jersey Assemblywoman Pamela Lampitt represents the 6th District and is the chairwoman of the Higher Education Committee. In fact, she sponsored a bill that would protect kids who are actually victims of sexting. Everyone, thank you so much for being with us for such a timely topic. I really appreciate your time. I got to start with Ken over here. What the heck are these people thinking of? I mean, it just seems like common sense that you would not send a dirty message or a sexy picture across telephone lines.
When you think about it, though, you really want to get the attention of the person who you want to have sex with, or you want to date. So you're going to do whatever it takes to get that attention. So you're going to push the boundaries, you're going to push the limits. So maybe 60 years ago, we'd have called it just a picture, or maybe showing your bra. But these days, sexting is where you push the limit. Okay,
I have to tell you that when I was in school, you couldn't even use the word bra. I mean, that's how far we've gone. I don't know whether we've gone downhill or what, but it seems like pushing the boundaries now, it's even more so than perhaps ever before.
I don't know that it's ever before. I think technology has changed it. So maybe 40 years ago, saying bra was pushing the boundary, and now sexting is pushing the boundary. But both are the limits that youth take to push in order to show the other person they're interested in them.
Okay, so what's the end result? Are these young people who are engaging in this actually getting the kind of attention that they want, or does it result in a lot of unwanted attention and perhaps a threat to their reputation?
I think unfortunately what's happened is a lot of youth don't get educated appropriately by their parents or their school district about what it means for them to sext. So they don't know what it is they're doing. They don't understand the consequences. Both biologically, their brains are not formed well enough to actually understand consequences of long-term behavior. And psychologically, they're not taught to understand the long-term consequences of behavior. So it's fair to say that they don't really understand what it is they're doing.
You can hear the the Assemblywoman, I've gotten you elected to a higher
There you go.
office.
Thank you. That's not easy.
That's what happens when you're on this show.
love that.
See, you're on here
Yeah.
and then you're a Congresswoman, but that's what's actually gotten the Assemblywoman's attention,
Yes.
is that kids don't understand the consequences, and that's why you felt there was a need to take a step to protect them.
Right, right. As a mother of 2 children who are now past the age of 18, and really focusing on the youth of my district and the youth of New Jersey who really don't have a strong voice, I do a lot of legislation that focuses on teenagers and the youth. And in this particular situation, you know, young people will do stupid things. They do stupid things all the time. They make impulsive decisions. Unfortunately, an impulsive decision in this type of scenario, where they'll take a picture of themselves and send it off, can result in bullying. It can result in now a criminal offense in the state of New Jersey. They can be tried as a sex offender in the state of New Jersey.
It's not just in New Jersey, Richard. I mean, across the country, different states have different legislation, but you can actually get in a lot of trouble for sending these kinds of messages or images, can't you?
Yes, you can. Actually, the federal government set out in 2006, setting forth the federal standard that a young person under the age of 18 taking a picture of themselves and sending it to either their boyfriend or their boyfriend that they're seeking to get into a relationship with, or, and this is typically young ladies, taking pictures of themselves while they're in a relationship at the request of somebody else, taking a picture of their body parts nude for any purpose, is a crime right now in the state of Pennsylvania, in the Commonwealth, and in the state of New Jersey as a result of the federal legislation dealing with internet and child pornography.
Well, you know what? If that doesn't get your attention out there right now, if you have a child under 18, then I don't know what will, because that's putting up alarm bells like crazy with me. What about if you're over 18 and someone underage sends you a photo? Then you're really in hot water, aren't you?
It's a different scenario, but the same thing follows suit. It happened to a teacher in New Jersey where he gave out his cell phone number, the class trip, and gave out his cell phone number, and one of his students sent him a picture of herself. And what are they supposed to do? So the laws have not caught up with technology, and that's where we are today. The laws have not caught up with technology. You know, in my situation, I thought it best to think about educating the young people that have this first-time offense, doing it unknowingly, doing an educational program, not sending them off to a criminal, courts, putting them back into the juvenile courts, and doing an educational process. Some states are criminalizing these young people. There's a young man in the state of Florida, unfortunately, who was tried as a criminal, and for 45 years he can't leave the state of Florida because of this. This is not, I believe, the course of action we want to take in New Jersey.
But still, I mean, it's frightening. How do we get that message across to our kids that, hey, this isn't just harmless flirting like it might have been when we were all young. I mean, this has consequences that could affect you for up to 50 years in your future. How do you get that message across?
I'm not sure that your parents would have called the type of flirting you did harmless. So I think it changes.
You don't even know me.
I don't.
You don't know what kind of flirting I did.
I didn't. But I'm pretty sure that as generations change, what we call flirting changes. So I'm pretty sure your parents would not have called your flirting harmless, and their parents would not have called their flirting harmless, and that's okay. The problem is parents don't educate their children about sexuality. We'll teach our children about religion, politics, schooling. We'll give them a lot of very charged topics, but we'll never teach them about sexuality.
Now, that's something that really hasn't changed a whole lot, because people have always been a little hesitant to discuss sex with their children.
But this isn't just teaching children about sex. This is teaching children about how to deal with the internet, how to deal with their cell phones, and how to respect their own physical person and their own privacy. Because what you're having is, it's not necessarily the first picture that I send to my girlfriend or boyfriend, but it's when the relationship that began on Monday comes to fruition on Wednesday and you're broken up on Friday. That person is now then sending your photograph to maybe 80 people on his email list, and then you get into you get a chain text. And in a high school, for